Here's a little something interesting I wanted to talk about.
And if I zoom out one more time,
Sorry.
there's been a flurry of earthquakes, but almost all of them have been since 2024, specifically September. So here we have this magnitude 4.5. That was in 2009 right there. Another earthquake in 2009, magnitude
Stephen
5 up
Burns.
top. And then a magnitude 4.5 in the year
Just
2020.
subscribing to
So
it.
only 3 earthquakes in the first years. And then starting late September 2024, all the started to pile up, and they've all been a greater than magnitude.
And look at all what he's saying is 1, 2, 3 earthquakes occurred from 2020 till 2024. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 40 earthquakes of a magnitude of 5.0 or greater have occurred since 2024. Now, to give you more insight on where this area is in Ethiopia, the Gerd River Dam is up here, right up in here where my cursor is. That's where the Gerd River Dam is. What that area there is, that's a whole brand new reservoir that's been caused because they built the dam, and there's a lot of water that has been placed there. All this area where my cursor is right now, there used not to be water. It used to be valley, dry, devoid of all this water. Water is kind of heavy. See all this water buildup? It all comes from this river. This is the Blue Nile. And this is actually a little bigger down here where my cursor is at the bottom of the screen. And then it started, once they got the dam started, all this extra water started building up. If you can see the dark, let's go back a little bit. The darker area is more intrinsic to the natural river of the Blue Nile, and it is built up reservoir. And it's really, it's gotten pretty big. Right there is actually the reservoir. Now, the area that he's talking about, let me find it here. Okay, it's way, way down here. So the Gerd River Dam is up here at the top left. The area of earthquakes that he's talking about, and you'll see on this, oh, there it is, Central Ethiopian earthquake. It actually shows Dolphin volcano. So where all those 30 or 40 earthquakes have occurred in the past year have all been around this area here. That's a volcano. Now, it has nothing pretty much to do with the Gerd River Dam, because all that weight and all that water of billions and billions of tons of water is up here, as you can see by these mountains. So there's no way in hell, well, there is a way, but it's cause of this, because all these mountains here, there's probably a dead volcano there. Right here is where all that volcanic activity. Oh, wow, you're not seeing the screen. My bad. No, yeah, you are. You're seeing the screen. Okay. Now let me go back. No, you're not seeing the screen. Okay, let me go. My bad. I got to do this all over again. Share screen, share screen. Share screen. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, this area here is where, as you can see, it's written Central Ethiopian earthquake. It's a brand new little indicator that they have here showing that there's been the 25 to 30, 40 earthquakes in this area. It is right beside this exclamation point called the Dothan volcanic eruption. Now, as I was saying, but I didn't properly have the map set up, Gerd River Dam is way over here. This area here where my cursor is, all that nice, that's a new lake that's been formed, or a reservoir, by all the weight, all the water that is, as you can see, that dam is right there, Bamiz. You can see the Ethiopian Grand River, Ethiopian Dam, or the Gerd Dam. It's right there. All this extra water, all the weight of that water's here. But you have all these mountain ranges, a good couple 100 miles, probably 100 miles easier, before you get down to here. Ethiopia still, where even Google Maps has put Central Ethiopian earthquake indicator right on the map. So what I'm talking about here is if you scope out here and you follow my cursor, you can see the of what would appear to be a crack going from Djibouti. There's a crack in the fissure or something in the earth that comes all the way down here. Yeah, to cuts over this way or this way. One of two of these ways. Most probably this way here. It might shoot up because this kind of, it could go either way. It could down. Anyhow, in about 1,000, 2,000 years right here of Africa. And it's probably going to bump into Yemen. So these are geographical things that are happening in our lifetime for all of those people interested. Let me get back to sharing screen on this speaking. There we go. And let's get back to what he was telling you about all these
4.5, because the global earthquake network really only picks up earthquakes of sufficient strength, and that typically is magnitude greater, showing that undoubtedly there's been a whole bunch of earthquakes magnitude 4.5 and less, but you need the local seismic station to pick that up. And so this is a tremendous amount of earthquake activity that's been in Ethiopia, right next to the capital city of Addis Ababa. And that has a lot of people worried. They've been feeling these earthquakes now in the capital city. And if we
all those earthquakes you just
go
showed
to our
right there occurred since January 2024. That's why I'm bringing you this story.
largest magnitude, we see that there was a magnitude 5.7 earthquake on January 4th, right here near Dothan volcano. And just today, we had a magnitude 5.3 right there. So this area is still very, very active. And this isn't a typical earthquake swarm, which is caused by one strong earthquake, let's say like a magnitude 7. Then you get a whole bunch of aftershocks. This is all caused by volcanic intrusions occurring underground. So you had the flow of magma actually breaking the rock up, flowing along and splitting things apart, and then getting closer and closer to the surface. And this is,
and that's where I just showed you on the other map, that fissure line. That's why I brought that up, because what he's telling you is basically half of Ethiopia is being pushed away from Africa as we're living today. And no one's talking about it. It's actually kind of historic. From a geological standpoint, it's historic. The Earth crust is moving in such a manner where we're fixing to take a continent. The Earth is, not we. The Earth is taking a continent and splitting off a little piece of it. And in a couple thousand years, it's going to be an island. And it's happening real fast, because I did a video on a little bit north here, I think up in this area where my cursor is, was a split in the Earth that happened in 20 seconds, 50 foot deep, 30 foot wide, 22 kilometers long. So it can happen rather fast. So that's why I say 1,000 or 2 years.
being driven by that African superplume. Why is the African continent breaking apart in two at the Horn of Africa in the first place? Well, there is a massive
right there where that X comes in. That's the area we were just focused in on. And that area, I believe, to the right is what's going to be splitting off from the continent of Africa.
Massive plume of low density material from the deep earth rising upwards under Ethiopia, creating the Rift Valley and eventually an oceanic spreading center. As the
oceanic spreading center means it's going to split off into an island. He agrees with me.
Plume rises, it decompresses, causing partial melting and volcanism. The helium ratio from the African superplume is very high, indicating a deep mantle or even core mantle origin. And here we have some seismic data showing the location of that African superplume.
What he just said is if it's located as deep as a core level volcanism, that's going to be a big boom when that goes off and devastate a lot of shit, if he is right in what he just said. Because most of the volcanic explosions that we've had on the Earth so far have not been so deep in their origination of flow. So maybe that is why that part of Africa, the fissure opened up. It was like 30 foot wide, 50 50 foot deep and about 22 kilometers long, like 20 seconds. Maybe that's why that unusual happened, because and that might be also why they think it's from a core level of magma flowing up through the surface.
Plume. Specifically, we are looking at the velocity of the compressional P wave. These blue colors here, purple colors there, are fast, high velocity P waves. And then if you go into the red territory, it is a slower P wave. The actual compressional seismic wave, sound wave, traveling through that rock is slower versus higher. So we see that Africa in general is fairly homogeneous. We do have this higher velocity P wave regime here along the Cape, but you all of a sudden go to Ethiopia and it goes way, way, way down. That is the location of that African super plume. Effectively, you have that material rising up from depth, and P wave velocities move through it slower because it is of a lower density temperature. We see that it actually originates more down here, but it's expressed with that lower P wave velocity at depth, and then it rises up to the surface under East Africa, really under Ethiopia, and also near Arabia, under the Red Sea. So this is a very active area geologically because of this African super plume. It's a very special place geologically because it is one of the few places on the planet where you see deepest parts of the Earth, whether this is the deep mantle or further down at the core mantle boundary. And evidence for this comes in the helium isotope ratio. You have helium-3.
Anyhow, it's enough of that. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's happening on the planet today that could very well affect your life. It will affect your life. Well, it depends on how fast that magma comes up. It could blow tomorrow, but it's already moved. Like I said, an enormous amount of spreading of the continent, east side of the continent of Africa, has started to split apart in our lifetimes, in the past year. So again, write a diary. We are living in awesome times, people. We are actually seeing the continent of Africa split off in real time, building up magma from the center core of the Earth, coming up in a big plume, running through the rocks, splitting the Earth apart. That's why they've had those 30 to 40. Hey, what's up, guys? That's why they've had those 30 to 40 earthquakes since 2024 in that one area that I showed at the beginning of the video. And as he explained, the magma is so intense that it's actually taken the core part of the continent of Africa in that area in the Rift Valley zone and pushing that part of Africa, of Ethiopia, into the Indian Sea. And we're seeing before our eyes islands formation. If you're into geology, this is outstanding stuff. 99% of people are going to be bored with this, but it is very interesting stuff. Scientists and geologists, and they're really excited about this because this is like the Super Bowl for them. If you're into this kind of information, to see the formation of what will be an island in a couple thousand years, starting of it right now is awesome, and it's happening dramatically, as I've stated 3 times. Yeah, well, there's a fissure that opened up at 30 foot wide, 50 some odd foot kilometers long in 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, just north of that area where all those volcanic earthquakes has been located at. So it happens fast. We've never seen it before. It's never been documented. It is, but everyone, well, not everyone, but people should know that supposedly we were one continent of Pangea, I think it's called, and then they broke up into 7 continents. And basically what's happening now is the continuation of the Earth's movement and separation of continents into different shelves or plates. So I just wanted to bring this attention to people that it's happening yesterday. Today is started in 2024 in a way that you can visually see it. The Earth moves slow. It's not going to happen, in Johnny's lifetime. Your kid's going to grow up and get old and die and have kids himself before it probably, before you can start saying it's an island. But in geographic terms or geological terms, that's freaking fast. So in perspective, it's happening at quote unquote warp speed. What's up, C4? So that's why I'm excited about it. I like geography and geology and oceanography and all that kind of stuff. And this is very exciting to see the making of a new island before our eyes. It's going to be devastating as hell if that volcano is known as a super volcano. And then you get into PMs. Well, what do you find in super? Doesn't explode, and it's just magma moving, and the magma doesn't penetrate and cause that volcano to explode. What's going to happen is the magma is going to shift, and they're going to spread that little part of the East African continent out, and then it's going to have its comfort zone, and it'll stop the magma and seismic activity. But what does that bring for precious metals? All that pressure, all that force, all that heat. I'll give you 3 seconds. Oh, diamonds, gold, all created from super volcanic plumes. Explode as a super volcanic plume, and it actually is just widening for maybe in 2,000 or 3,000 years to do the explosion, and it's just gathering up force, expanding its magma chamber. Would split the continent of Africa, which apparently looks like it's going to happen. One of two things will happen. It'll stop in its comfort zone until its next expansion period, or it'll explode. Either way, those are the two things that'll probably happen. Yeah, there's going to be, and see, this is a great thing. See, he explained to you, he said in that video that is the deepest magma coming up from the core of the earth. Okay. You want to know why South Africa has so much gold and diamonds? If you look at tens and hundreds of thousands of years of the Earth's tectonic shelves moving, you will find out that South Africa used to be in the position of Ethiopia. And if it's the same as the supervolcano in Yellowstone. If you look at the historical data of the explosion of that, it seems that the continental shelves of the crust of the earth is moving westward over that. In other words, underneath the crust or the mantle, there's still a zit that pops every now and then. It's just the skin of it moves over it and it pops, and then skin moves over and it pops, leaving traces of when it popped or it exploded in the forms of minerals and deposits and stuff like that. So what is actually happening right now, what's up, Tom, is the formation of in 2,000-3,000 years, the next huge gold find if it explodes into a super volcano. And again, if it does not, what's happening is it's just building up its magma chamber and expanding its magma chamber, and then it'll settle down when it gets into its comfort zone, thus splitting the continent of Africa partially apart. There's still the same thing happens. The pressure and the heat together combined makes diamonds, produces gold. As a matter of fact, in Hawaii last year, I did a video for the first time ever. They discovered from volcanism and lava flow. This guy was out metal detecting somewhere in Hawaii, and one of the cold areas from a couple of years ago of the lava flow, he found like 5 ounces of freaking gold because that lava pushed up from the center of the earth, and the deeper from the core that the volcanic activity comes from, the more quote unquote precious metals will be a result of that occurrence. So we can anticipate in a couple thousand years or less, it's going to be a gold and diamond and platinum rich area. And it's happening before our eyes as we're speaking. And that's why I brought you this, because it's exciting to me. Not the average layman will give a shit about this. There's exciting stuff happening in this earth other than geopolitical and stuff that the man do. The earth itself is actually doing some cool shit. And that's why I brought you this report, because that kind of stuff interests me, along with lots of other things. As a matter of fact, several thousand other things interest me. It's hard to keep up with all the things that interest me. But anyhow, that's why I was telling you about that. And I don't believe it has anything to do with the Gerd River Dam, even though I do think the Three Rivers Gorge Dam in China is having an effect on the earthquakes and floods that they're having. It's a different consequence over there than in Ethiopia with the Gerd River Dam, which will be the second largest dam in the world, and the amount of weight of water being produced in that area does actually shift tectonic plates and the shift, the rotation of the Earth, because there's so much water and pressure put in one area when you add that water because of the making of a dam. But that's a different scenario over in China than they have in Ethiopia. And as I pointed out at the beginning of this video, the Gerd River Dam is in the far northwest of Ethiopia, and all this seismic activity is daggone near in the center of Ethiopia, probably 200 to 300 miles away. So though it might have some sort of a causality, I'm sure it's not responsible for all this seismic activity. I think it's just an old, and I haven't done any research on it. I think what it is it's an old super volcano that if you take and look at the Earth map of the tectonic plates movement over 100,000 years, you'll find that, and this is actually how they discover diamond mines, believe it or not. There was a discovery of a diamond mine like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that, up in Canada, because it's an old super volcano explosion and plume. Basically, all that pressure and force hundreds of thousands of years ago, whenever it happened, caused the creation of diamonds through heat, pressure, and the force of all that stuff exploding out. And so it left a 100,000 years later, Earth filled over it, trees grew on top of it, but it still left all the formations, geological formations for diamonds, because there's actually 3 places on the Earth where diamonds are created. That's why diamonds are no longer unique, and also part of the reason why De Beers lost control of the pricing and manipulating of the diamonds, because when De Beers had control of diamonds, there was only one known supervolcanic plume, and they didn't actually know at that time how diamonds were formed, so they didn't look for volcanic plumes, supervolcanic plumes throughout the Earth to see if there was other diamond mines available. And then as the technology got available, space shots of the Earth got available, they've discovered 2 other areas in the Earth that have diamond mines, thus taking away the uniqueness of De Beers and the manipulating control of the monopoly De Beers had on diamonds. That's why diamonds are going out and getting cheaper, because the amount of supply, actually supply and demand's working. The supply of diamonds has doubled, so the price will go down. De Beers and manipulation and control of the one super volcanic explosive plume or diamond creating area that they have control of in South Africa has been taken away from. Same as what's happening for platinum. And that's why I'm really excited about platinum, because the same thing that happened to De Beers with the diamonds and them losing control because of the finding that they found 2 other super volcano old explosions that produced diamonds. They have found in Thunder Bay, Canada, the largest platinum have allowed us to know about, i.e. discovered, on the Earth. It's in Thunder Bay. It is only 400 yards underneath the Earth, and the ones in South Africa are 2,200 yards underground. Price per ounce of getting it out. Clean Air Metals, who owns the rights to mine and have already started open pit mining to get down to the top of that 400-yard mark. They're going to open pit mine so they can run trucks down to get to they're going to be doing a bulk core sample, they said, this spring. And when that happens, the control of the platinum production on this planet dramatically shifts from BRICS to America. Last year, China was contractually obligated to buy 2.5 million ounces of platinum for a new technology of engine that they have been contracted by 10 car companies to make. This year, they have to do the same. Next year, the same. So they got BRICS, they got South Africa into BRICS in like 2011 or something like that. And and I've read the documents. Their excuse for wanting to get them in was because they said that South Africa had unique resources, and they named those unique resources being diamonds, gold, and platinum. So far, platinum or diamonds have been taken away from South Africa. Gold is not unique to South Africa. So that means 2 of the 3 reasons that China used to bring South Africa into BRICS are no longer viable. And at the end of this year, it will not be unique to South Africa to have be the only place to have a large supply of platinum. America will be the supplier of platinum to the world. So what I'm saying is China has controlled the price of platinum, because if you look at 2011 onward for the sharp price of platinum. At that time, it was at an all-time high of $2,280, and it has done nothing but gone down as soon as they joined BRICS, because BRICS is using them. And I state this because Russia could very easily restart South Africa's 2 nuclear power plants, and they could have power. Right now, they only have power for half of the day, 50%. The whole country's out of power for 50% of the day, year-round, because they don't have working nuclear power plants. They shut them down. Russia, who's also part of BRICS, one of the first key 5 members, just like South Africa, Russia could go in and kickstart that thriving economy again, and it would help the GDP, listen to the words, it would help the GDP of BRICS. They have chosen not to. What they have chosen to do is go to Egypt, contract with them to build 2 nuclear power plants. And then they went to Burkina Faso, contracted with them to build 1 nuclear power plant, while not helping BRICS country of South Africa, which I just explained to you, has lost their unique control of all the resources that they claim were the reasons for them to invite South Africa into BRICS. So, having said all of this, one can conclude that since South Africa no longer has the 3 unique minerals that they were brought into BRICS for, why the fuck would BRICS keep them? See, if you think of things like this and do research, you come up with questions like that and you ask yourself stuff. And then you say, okay, well, I let you in the boys, the girl-hating boys club because you said you're a girl-hating boy. Now, all of a sudden, I find you wearing dresses and high heels. Well, we're going to have to reevaluate who's in this club. And that's what's happening in South Africa, in my opinion. So this went from Ethiopia. Well, now it goes back to Ethiopia because Ethiopia is going to be very prosperous because they're going to be providing power because the Gerd Dam. They're going to be selling power to their nations next to them. So they're going to be a wealthy nation for the next 50 years. They're going to prosper. The only thing that's going to stop them is all these earthquakes near their capital city and a volcano. But anyhow, that's why I wanted to bring this report, because I have not heard anyone talking about all these earthquakes or given any kind of logical explanation for why they're happening, what is happening, and what could happen. And I'm sorry I got into the BRICS thing, but I'd explain that too, because the GDP of BRICS is not what it is. Platinum is fixing to change control from BRICS to America. That's going to break the manipulation because they're contracted. China is contracted with South Africa for platinum, for which they have already stated bought basically half the world's supply last year for the new technology of engine they're building. So I'm almost positive that Thunder Bay, the new platinum mine by Clean Air Metals, I'm almost positive they don't want to go out of business to help China produce a product and make profit. So since they've actually, and I did a video on this, already stated that they're not going to start the open pit part of their gold or their platinum mine to get down to that bulk core sample at 400 meters or yards under the earth until they are assured that the price of platinum is going up. Well, in spring, they're going to be getting a core sample. So that should tell you that company that is backed by no less than 3 very, very wealthy billionaires. And of course, we all know billionaires are stupid with money and make bad calls. Yeah. Those 3 billionaires aren't going to throw their money at something to lose money, because those billionaires aren't Chinese billionaires. They're North American billionaires, and they have their own financial interest involved, not China's. So that's another reason why I say China is DOA. There's so many things coming down the pipeline that's going to crush them economically, as if any more needs to be done to their economy for it to be crushed, other than the realization that it's crushed. But anyhow, I wanted to keep this a little short. Glad all of you guys are here. Yeah, Egypt is very pissed all-nighter. They are pissed on so many levels. I've done so many videos. I've done like 5 videos on the stupid stuff Egypt has shot themselves in the foot in over. Most of it's over water and their arrogance in thinking that all of Africa's water from whatever country the river originates in belongs only to Egypt. It's like, wow, the arrogance, you pompous assholes. No, it flows through 4 or 5 other countries, and they actually have right to that water too. But Egypt doesn't recognize that. So they're having their own little issues right now. I did a video on they're trying to build a river just beside the Nile to help with irrigation and shit like that. It's not going to be successful. They're going to run out of money because they're a bunch of fraudulent people. Look at Zahardi, the guy who supposedly controlled the pyramid information, all that stuff. Found out that he was selling artifacts under the table, not allowing the facts to come out. We still don't know about it. As a matter of fact, after the Zahardi guy came in, we know less about Egyptology than we did before he took office. He's since been quote unquote retired, i.e. fired, and actual science is getting be done now in that area. So Egypt's really not got their heads screwed on straight for future progress in the time that they need to have themselves positioned for future progress. And that is why I tell people positioning is everything, because the world's ever changing. And if you see the changes coming and you're in the right position, you won't be blasted up 1,000 foot in the air because you're on top of that super plume volcano. You move 1,000 miles away and you're going to prosper because of it. Another guy's going to be up in there falling saying, shit, I was in the wrong area. And you won't be, because you were positioned properly, because you saw future events off of current events that will happen, and you positioned yourself properly. Anyhow, I have some stuff I have to do today, oddly enough. In this stream, I thank each and every one of you immensely for showing up, and I hope this brought some sort of educational value to you and informational value to you about what's going on in Africa and how the things will be changing down there. You guys have a great day. God bless America. Hey, Zardos, be the best you can be today. Let's all give that a try and see if we can't change America from a grassroots effort of everyone trying to be the best you can be today. I bet that would be dramatic in changing America. Anyhow, you guys have a nice night. Thank you very much for showing up, and I will see you on Sunday.